Aita for not borrowing a phone to text my wife when I was going to be late from a work event? Part of my work involves entertaining clients and partners. For the most part, these things happen during work hours, except when I am traveling, and then about every other month I will have something that is in the evening. Last night I had dinner with several people that were in from out of town. After a day of running around a bit, at dinner I realized my phone was below 10% charge. I was texting with my wife, and around 8:30 I expected to be home by 11, and I let her know that my phone was on low battery and was going to die. After dinner at around 10 p.m., with a dead phone, there was interest in going to play pool, so we walked to a bar and played some pool. It ended up being a later night, and I ended up leaving at 12:30. My wife is usually in bed by 9:30, so I generally assume that the difference between 11 and 1 to her isn't important. I certainly could have borrowed my boss's phone to text her, but it didn't seem like something that was needed. I put my phone on the charger on the 25-minute drive home, but as the battery was fully dead, it took a bit before I could power it on, and honestly wasn't a priority as I assumed my wife would be asleep, and I didn't have any missed calls or text from my wife when I did power it on. When I got home, my wife was very angry and demanded I sleep in the guest room. I politely declined, brushed my teeth, listened to her call me a drunk, cheat, asshole, but didn't engage, as I didn't think it would be productive. Some context is that about 2 years ago, I also had a late night with a client, though my phone had power, and I was playing pool at my office. The GPS tracking on my phone put my phone in the alley. At the time, I didn't have exceptions for Do Not Disturb on my phone, which turned on automatically at 11 p.m. So when she called, I didn't see it, and my phone was plugged into a speaker playing music, so it wasn't in my pocket. With the GPS showing me in the alley, my wife called the cops. Overall, I will admit that the situation there, I gave no indication when I was going to be home and had a charged phone which I wasn't responding to. So I certainly felt like TA in that situation and apologized profusely. This situation felt a bit different, and I don't feel that my actions last night were unreasonable, but happy to take to the internet and get an opinion. The question here is Aita for assuming that being 2 hours late was acceptable without any notice, or is the expectation that borrow a phone to text that I was going to be late? Update. On the guise of having dinner to discuss, my wife served me divorce papers. This came out of nowhere and I have no idea what could have possibly caused this. Or we had a good dinner. I apologized for not giving space and not borrowing a phone. She apologized for the unfair name calling and overreaction. We drank a few glasses of wine, discussed the assumptions I made, what went through her head that built up all the anger. We discussed a handful of things, and both of us walked away from the situation in a good mood.